Today's webinar is on Borderless Global Funds, your gateway to global alpha. In today's webinar, we'll be covering few things like what is the hedge fund market like in the US and globally. We'll also be talking about our new global funds that we are launched. Towards the end of the webinar, I will be talking briefly on our new product, Borderless Money, where you can use borderless money to send money to your borderless global fund, and using it you can save money in six different currencies, and I'll be giving you a platform overview real quick towards the end. So let's get started. To introduce myself, I'm Rohan. I'm part of marketing at Borderless. And to kick things off, the overview. So since the pandemic, right, since 2020 onwards, hedge funds as a whole has been performing really well. And in 2024 they have made one of their highest returns. Again, this is the weighted average return that includes like all different types of hedge funds included from different strategies. The weighted average was around 15.7%, and they showed a lot of uh, returns. They showed a lot of comfort when the markets fell in 2022. We'll be talking more about that in the next slides. And in the past 4 years, hedge funds have been delivering and performing quite well. They've been, having positive alpha over the past 4 years. But what is a hedge fund? So basically, a hedge fund is it, like your any other fund, but the difference over here is compared to a mutual fund, it's managed by HNIs and it's managed by professionals, and they are less regulated compared to your other funds. The minimums are high, but so is the safety net. If the fund falls, it won't fall as much as the market falls. And they employ different types of strategies in a hedge funds, for example, a leverage or a derivatives, short selling and arbitrage, all to pursue profit in all market conditions. And historically, when you look at it, in the past 10 years or 15 years data, right? Historically, hedge funds have always delivered well, in times of uncertainty or volatility. And today, as we all know, in today's market condition, that there's a interest rate uncertainty, right, in the US market. And there's also a sectoral rotation right now that's taking place for AI and semiconductors right now. So there's a lot of things happening, plus geopolitical risks. For example, the conflict Israel and Iran, and then the conflict Ukraine Russia. A lot of things happening globally, and this is where the opportunity lies. For a hedge fund to uh, create the alpha, and that is what we have launched, introducing borderless global funds. Uh, Idea behind Borderless Global Fund is to basically give you access to elite instrument of investments at a reduced cost. So as an Indian, if you would want to invest in a hedge fund, it would start from around 1 CR. What we have done at Borderless is we have worked around with the partners up, and we've tried to bring it down to around 50,000 US dollars. And with one investment, you are instantly diversified. It's managed by professionals. And the benefit over here is the advantage over here is that your money is automatically managed based on current market conditions. And to add to that, there's a lower correlation to a single sector or a market. So we have funds that I'll be talking about in the later slides that that invest globally in different markets. And then we have another fund where just puts it in pure equity. And because of that, you are less prone to volatility, and you're able to get returns even when markets are falling. For example, in 2022, when the S&P 500 declined by 19%, hedge funds averaged only about 4% loss. So you can see the stark difference. Like if you would had invested in a hedge fund back then, you would have only lost 4%. So that's the biggest advantage over here with the hedge fund, is that you are able to utilize Hedge funds are able to benefit in times of volatility. They're able to capitalize on dislocation, price anomalies, and short-term opportunities. And they employ hedging and they do a sector rotation and currency management to manage risk. That's the biggest advantage. And that is what we are bringing to you as an investor who can, be part of a global hedge fund, not only in a hedge fund that's limited to India, but globally. And recently, we have noticed this trend, that there has been an ESG integration. So ESG just stands for environmental, social, and governance, and it's a big thing that's coming up. And a lot of companies are, being pushed by regulators to, go into sustainability. And hedge fund uh, providers are also looking into it, and they have been more inclined towards putting ESG companies into their portfolio. One of the reasons behind it is that they have been shown to have lower volatility, and they are able to control risk with that. The first one we're going to talk about is the Stockholm Stable Growth Fund. So this is a fund that's managed by Deutsche Bank, and this fund is designed for investors looking for a one-click global diversification. And the fund objective is annually it will give you a return of around 9 to 12%. And it's for investors that just want to park their money, and they just want it to grow. And over the past 10 years, the annualized return for this fund is around 15.61%. And add to the fees, there's a 2% management fee, and then there's a 1% exit load if you exit within 1 year of the fund. There's also a 20% performance fee. So let me just talk a little bit on Deutsche Bank, who they are. Pretty sure all of us know who Deutsche Bank is. They're like one of the biggest banks in the world. And they have around 200 billion assets under them globally. And year on year, their revenue has been growing. And their biggest philosophy that resonates with us investors is that they prioritize risk management over pure returns. So, the fund is not providing you high returns, but it's able to give you a cushion when the market falls. The second fund that I would like to talk about is the Stockholm Value Fund. So this fund is designed with Omniscience Capital, and this fund basically is a pure equity, 100% equity fund. So it's for customers who want to take the risk of investing in companies that are under the radar. That's what the fund strategies are all about. So they target using their proprietary scientific investing framework, and they look at under under the radar companies that have high potential for growth in the near future, and they're able to invest in that. And as you can see that the fund objective is about 15 to 20% annually, and it carries a higher risk because it's pure equity. So I'll just talk you through some of the holdings of the fund. So they have companies like Uber, they have companies like Meta that are having position that have value to grow even more. And over the past 1 year, they have been having a performance of about 25.3%. It's grown. Talking a little bit on Omniscience as a fund manager or as an EMC, they are into the strategy of scientific investing. So that means they are looking at companies that thrive below the radar, and they're having the opportunity to grow, like I mentioned. And a supernormal portfolio designed to survive through uncertainties. That's the core philosophy of Omniscience Capital. Now, looking at who should invest, you know, it's for customers who would want to park their funds. Let's just say that you have a use case or 2 or 3 years down the line, and you would want to, park some of your capital. It makes a great place for you to diversify instantly. You also have access to global markets. And you also have a downside protection with an alpha. So you're not losing as much as when the markets fall. And the starting investment point is around 50,000 US dollars. Now, why invest in these funds? The reason is, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of uncertainty happening today in today's markets, with Trump's tariffs and, the Trump war with Elon Musk, a lot of uncertainty is taking place. There's global tensions also happening. We're very unsure of how to invest. This funds like these give you a safe haven, to park some of your funds. And while it's parked, it's also able to grow and you're able to use it. And right now, because of rapid innovation that's taking place in AI, green technology, battery tech, and a lot of development that's taking place in healthcare that a lot of us are maybe knowing about or not knowing. For example, like Ozempic that was launched few years back was a game changer drug, right? A lot of innovations taking place in the healthcare as well. And in this time, there's also been the highest volatility. It also provides the highest opportunity for you to make the most of. So I just want to quickly touch on borderless multi-currency account. This is basically the heart of the product. And this is how you'll be able to invest in the global fund as well. So I'm pretty sure some of you guys would have already come on our webinar 2 weeks ago on the borderless money account. I'll just quickly go through this and I'll just quickly go through the platform overview as well. Uh, this is an account just like your ICICI Bank or a HDFC Bank account where you're able to save in currencies beyond INR, and you're able to save in six different currencies: US dollar, pound, euros, Singapore dollar, Canadian dollars, and Australian dollars. And you're able to save. And going forward, right now it's still on hold. Its product is not fully baked. In the near future, in the next 1 or 2 months, you'll be able to send money abroad for education purposes, or you'll be able to buy a subscription online. You will be able to send it for different use cases. And with borderless money, you can send money to your global funds, and you're able to use borderless money account, link it to your global funds, and you use it. For example, you want to save it for your children's education in a year or two. You can park your money in a global fund and then use that money back, get that money back into your borderless money account, and use it for your fee, for the fees, or for the tuitions, or for the living expenses, or any other expense, medical expense, or travel purposes as well. So that's how the account is, set up. And you don't have to bring that money back into India. That's the biggest advantage over here. So I'll just share my screen in a minute. So this is the borderless money account. So using this account, you're able to, fund this account and send money into your global fund, borderless global funds, or you can use it for, saving money for a near future for any other use case. So as you can see, it's a very simple dashboard. You're able to save in six different currencies: Singapore, British, US, euros, Canadian dollars, and Australian dollars. Below that, on the right hand side, you can see your account details. And on the left, you can see your recent transactions. And you're able to add money on the right hand side. You see a button over there. You can add money. You'll get all the beneficiary details for you to add money for the funding process for the global funds as well. And in the near future, you can add your payees and you can send money to people around the world. So you get a real-time conversion rate as well, along with the transfer fee mentioned. And here is the biggest advantage, right? You have your regular Swift transfers that take 1 to 3 days, and they have a $15 charge. what we have done is that we have launched this thing called Borderless Instant Payments, where you're able to send money in 0 to 24 hours or 1 to 2 days, and the charges is just $5. You're able to send money at a much quicker time compared to traditional Swift transfer. Let's just say you want to transfer money from a different currency to another. You can just click on the three dots and you can convert USD, and you can choose the conversion, which currency you want it to convert to as well. Let's just say I want to send some money to my Australian dollars. Continue. Takes a minute, and its conversion has been done. And to see all your reports, you can come to the tab on the right, on the top left, and click on transactions, and you can see all your transactions, and you can set the filter from date or by currency, and you can download the reports. It's pretty straightforward and it's pretty streamlined as well. So that's borderless money. I'm not going to get too much into it, but using borderless money, you can send money into your global funds and park your money for a use case. Let's just say in a year or two, and then send the money back into borderless money account and you utilize it globally. And you can open the account just with your Indian passport. In fact, it's one of the first steps that you would need to do if you want to get onboarded onto the funds is to just open a borderless money account with your Indian passport. You don't need any other documents, and you would just need to do a video KYC. Uh, we'll be taking questions now. Please feel free to send the questions on the Q&A. Any questions? Uh, Hi, Roger. The minimum amount that you can put into the funds that I mentioned is 50,000 US dollars. Believe in the next few months, the product will get better. I can't commit on a date, Arun, but as you can see, the vision is there, the borderless money account being the heart, where you're able to send money now into your global funds, or maybe going forward at a much later stage into your investment account and back and forth. And you're able to capitalize on the opportunity instead of keeping money just lying idle in the borderless money account. You can put it towards an investment fund or into the global funds as well. No, there will be a flat interest rate. Yes, Saket, you can do an SIP in the global funds. We allow that. Once you do the minimum investment of 50,000 US dollars, then our manager can sit down with you and discuss on the SIP structure at after the onboarding process. Uh, yes, we'll be giving you statements on the fund along with the tax statement as well for you to, submit for your tax. Abhilash, a very interesting question. Yes, you can track uh, the fund that you have invested in. So if you open your investment account, Stockle account, and you go to your holdings, you would see a tab over there mentioned as funds, and you can see the fund and your holding along with the performance as well. Shankar, the performance fee is 20%. So each of the funds have different hurdle rates. So above for the Deutsche one, it's around 7 to 10, and above that the performance fee kicks in. Saket, there's a 2% management fee that's charged, and there's a 1% exit load if you redeem the fund before 1 year. So, yes, it is 20% above the hurdle rate. So let's just say the fund is making, let's just say the Deutsche Bank, right? The annual target is around 9 to 12%, and it ends up making 15%. So you will be paying the 20% on the 3%, from 12 to that 15, the 3%, you'll be paying a 20% on that. Yes, a playful 50,000 has to be transferred for getting onboarded into the fund. Roger, the exit load is 1%. 1% before if you redeem within a year, and there's no exit load if you exit after 1 year. Saket, for the multi-currency account, if you open an account and you put some money into it, you'll be getting roughly around 2% interest every month. Right now, the interest is not there, and there's a $2 uh, maintenance fee month on month that is being waived off for the next, I think, a month or so. I believe Ram will answer that on chats. Going forward, there is going to be a 2% interest on idle funds lying on borderless money account. Oh, so Shankar, the reason why the fees is so high compared to your traditional funds is because of one key thing that hedge funds have, and that is the tactical asset allocation that you can, as a hedge fund, that a hedge fund can do, in times of volatility. They can completely change their positions and holding when markets change or the conditions change, right? That is the biggest tactical advantage, and that is why the fees is usually so high for funds like these. Any other questions? Yes, Avilash, you would get a personal wealth manager who would be assisting you. Currently, there's no flexibility to switch between funds. Once you have put your money into a fund, you would need to withdraw the money back into your borderless money account and then get yourself onboarded to the other fund that you desire. Yes, okay, there's a fee of 2% management fee, a 1% exit load if you redeem within a year, and if it goes beyond the hurdle rate, that depends on the fund, you'll have to pay a 20% performance fee. In case you have guys have any other questions going forward, feel free to reach out to customer success at stockpill.com, or you can also send me an email at rohan@stockpill.com, and I'll be more than happy to help resolve your query or help you get started on the next step for getting you onboarded onto our borderless global funds. Any other questions? Any last questions? More than happy to answer. I see there are no more questions. Thank you all for joining. In case you have any other questions throughout the week or later on. Oh, there's a question, Richard. Okay. No, the allocation in the fund is not as per the investor needs. So the hedge fund manager decides how the fund, the allocation is. Uh, all the customer can do is, or the investor can do is basically uh, put the money, and the hedge fund manager basically deploys it based on his strategy. So thank you all for joining the webinar on Borderless Global Funds. If you have any queries, please reach out to us, and feel free to reach out to me as well. Thank you all for joining, and thank you. Have a good evening.